بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه اللهم اجعل أعمالنا خالصة لوجهك ولا تجعل فيها حظا لغيرك وصل اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I make dua that everyone is well, that you had a good week, and that you will have a good week ahead bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Yeah, we were busy with, after that very, very important talk by Maulana Khalil, I think you're supposed to just go lie down and think about what he said now, but inshallah, we'll continue class and we can think about it later. But those were very, very, very important topics. Yeah, extremely important. Okay, so yeah, we were busy with Man Kasar al-Asnam. Guys, remember, you can unmute yourself, eh? Everybody's mute upon entry, but you can unmute yourself if you want to say anything or respond, or you can also put stuff in the chat box and stuff. I'm just reminding you because the interaction is important. Otherwise, I just go on talking. Right. So we were busy with Man Kasar al-Asnam. We worked on page 14 last week, and then for homework we had. Actually, we also started with page 15 last week. So you guys had to finish till the end of page 16 for homework. What I'm going to do now is, inshallah, we can just all read together. I'll read and you guys can read with your mics off as well, but try and read with me from the beginning of page 14. What I want you to do is I want you to try and understand what we are reading. Right? Remember, this is an exercise in building up 4 malakat or 4 faculties, right, in language. Those 4 faculties entail or include your ability to read, your ability to write also to some degree, but not so much the focus over here. So mainly 3: to read, to understand, to write, and also to articulate or to speak. How this factors into speaking is that you get accustomed to phrases or ways of wording things. How it factors in, how it improves your reading is by you actually reading, and understanding is by reading the Arabic and calling to mind the meanings of what we are reading. Not reading translation in addition to the Arabic. No, rather you must try and understand. And I try to do that by, like I mentioned the last time, I try and do stuff like that by, talking to my child who probably doesn't understand English very well either. So, and I try to explain the story to him, or just tell the story to him in Arabic and try to get him to understand what's happening. But also, if that's not available, then to try and just call to mind, instead of English words, images. So for example, when I say that laylatin, I have the concept in my mind of what comes after day, instead of recalling in my mind the word night, because that's generally what people of multiple languages do. When you're not yet fully proficient in one language, you just actually very quickly translating things in your mind. So we want to try and move away from that to recalling images in our mind when we hear words. That's why they say, you're really proficient in a language when you when you dream in that language, and when you can also, when you curse in the language, because it comes to you instinctively. And I think also when you pray in the language. I'm not sure that was when, I can't remember. But anyways, Allahu A'lam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us proficient in the language of the Quran so that we can appreciate it fully. Right, so Man Rabbi. Let's all read together, right? I think the first page we actually went through. We went through page 15 already, so we'll just read that one, right? And then we'll do from page 14 and page 15. We read it with the, or sorry, from 15 and 16, we'll read it with the meaning. So page number 14, chapter 7. Man Rabbi. ذات ليلة رأى إبراهيم كوكبا فقال هذا ربي ولما غاب الكوكب قال إبراهيم لا هذا ليس ربي ورأى إبراهيم القمر فقال هذا ربي ولما غاب القمر قال إبراهيم هذا ليس ربي وطلعت الشمس فقال إبراهيم هذا ربي هذا أكبر ولما غابت الشمس في الليل قال إبراهيم لا هذا ليس ربي. الستر السابع إن الله حي لا يموت. Indeed, Allah is ever living. لا يموت, He does not die. إن الله باق لا يغيب. Indeed, Allah is باق, ever remaining. لا يغيب, He does not disappear. إن الله قوي لا يغلبه شيء. Indeed, Allah is all powerful. Nothing overpowers Him. Literally, anything does not overpower Him, but you know, I said sometimes shay'un will mean, here it's used with the negation. Anything does not overpower Him, therefore we can understand from it, if that a thing is unrestricted, it actually means nothing can overpower Him. والكوكب ضعيف يغلبه الصبح. The star is weak. Daybreak overpowers it. والقمر ضعيف تغلبه الشمس. The moon is weak. The sun overpowers it. والشمس ضعيفة يغلبها الليل. The sun is weak. The night overpowers it. ويغلبها الغيم. And the clouds overpower it. ولا ينصرني الكوكب لأنه ضعيف. The star cannot help me because it is weak. ولا ينصرني القمر لأنه ضعيف. The moon cannot help me because it is weak. ولا تنصرني الشمس لأنها ضعيفة. The sun cannot help me because it is weak. وينصرني الله لأن الله حي لا يموت. Allah can help me because He is ever living, He does not die. وباق لا يغيب, and He is ever present, He does not disappear. وقوي لا يغلبه شيء, and He is all powerful, nothing overpowers Him. Right. Any questions? No questions. Ideally, what I would have you do is, and I think the platform doesn't yet allow it unless we probably try and change some things in terms of our setup. What I would ideally have you do is, and if you have the ability to do this, try and get a partner, you know, in your home or somewhere, and just read the story to them. Right? Read the story to them and let them read the story. If you're both studying Arabic, you can take a chapter and something like that, but read the whole thing repeatedly. Trying to understand it. And if you don't have an Arabic partner that's doing the course with you or something, then just tell the story to yourself or tell the story to somebody that doesn't understand Arabic and try and get them to understand the meaning without using English or any other language for that matter, using actions and pictures or whatever. Okay, so before we move on, are there any questions in terms of the translation, in terms of how to pronounce things, in terms of structure, anything? Okay, if there's no questions, then what I want you to do is, seeing that we got to this point a bit earlier than usual, which I'm actually happy about so we can have more time with Quran, I want you to just work on page number 17. It's a very short section over there, and the sentences are very similar to the previous chapter. So those 5 lines on page number 17, work through them as a group, inshallah. What I want you to do is first, like as opposed to what we do normal weeks, I want you to read the whole chapter. Don't do any translation, nothing. Together as a group, read the whole chapter slowly, right? Then afterwards, each one takes a line and tries to give a translation for that or explain it to everybody else. Um, and then work out any grammatical structures or whatever that you have trouble with, right? And then hopefully we'll come back a bit earlier. You can ask some questions and we can have more time with the Quran bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So if there's no questions, so firstly, read it all together and then do what we normally do. Whilst you're reading it together, in addition to trying to read it properly, I want you to also try and understand it already without having done the exercise of working through it. Just see how much you can understand, gauge for yourself, right? So I think let us break into our breakaway groups, inshallah. There's no Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Am I audible?
Alaikum salam, Maulana.
Okay, perfect. Shukran. I just needed to hear that I was audible. All right. So welcome back. Are there any questions from you guys working through those sentences or those paragraphs from Rabbi Allah?
Our group didn't really encounter any problems,
Loaded
Maulana.
up. Okay. And now that I'm looking at it, you could probably actually have finished up the whole chapter, uh, page number 18 as well. Okay. So yes.
We did actually finish Bandana, Assalamu alaikum, in our group. And I don't have a question. I just want to say something. I think some of the brothers in my group, mashallah, that I think if Bandana needs any tutors, then there's definitely some in that group, no? Mashallah.
MashaAllah. Good, mashallah. Okay, that's good to hear. So if there's no questions, then we can assign for homework. I think we're moving through it now at a bit of a faster pace. What we can do for homework, inshallah, is finish that chapter, right? So you guys did at least page 17 now. So do page 18 if you haven't done that already. But then do page 19 as well. As you can see in page 19, wherever we have these fancy brackets, right? That is a Quran ayah, or it's part of a Quran ayah. So try and work through it. If you want to check yourself, you can obviously go to a translation Quran. But I don't want that to be the first thing that you do, number one. Number two, if you do go to a translation Quran, right, then I want you to question yourself or ask yourself, why is it translated like that? That's in relation to all of these ayat. So first port of call is try and get to an understanding on your own, right? Using whatever vocabulary lists you have, right? If you do go to a translation Quran in relation to those parts of the sentences, right? As you can see, majority of this chapter is from the Quran. Then I want you to ask yourself at least, why is it translated however I find in the translation Quran? Because you need to pick your brain, right? We need to start seeing what we're learning in Nahu and Sarf alive in texts, right? This is going to form the basis of our understanding of the Quran, and then we're just going to, you know, enhance that understanding over time, bidhnillahi ta'ala, by adding, the finer details. So what you are currently learning is the core of the Arabic language, and as we go through the Quran, we'll add little bits and pieces, concepts here and there that will enhance your understanding of the Arabic language, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Right. So that's it then. If there's no questions here.
Maulana, Assalamu alaikum. Our
Alaikum
group had a
salam.
question on number 4, Rabbul Kawkabi. Is that because of the Rabbu and the Kawkabi becomes jar because of Mudaf and Mudaf ilayh? Is it a single star?
That's precisely what it is. It's a mudaf ilayh construction. عرف إبراهيم أن الله رب الكوكب. Ibrahim knew that Allah is the Lord of the
Star.
of the star, right? Sometimes these words can function as collective nouns as well.
Okay.
I just want to check the specific word. I think the word kawkab can function as a collective noun as well. So the plural of kawkab is kawakib, kawakib, which means stars. Okay, I don't see that it's used as a collective noun, but so it would be, and that Allah is the Lord of the star, the Lord of the star.
Oh,
Yeah.
shukran.
Right.
Shukran.
Afwan. Okay. No other questions? Then we'll move on to Quran, inshallah. For some reason, we're taking quite long with the surah. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن